Every 40 seconds, someone in America has a heart attack. And here's what keeps me up at night thinking about my own parents who live 2 hours away. Nearly half of all heart attacks happen when a person is completely alone. No spouse in the next room, no neighbor stopping by, just you and a sudden tightness in your chest, and a decision to make in the next few minutes that could determine everything. But here's what I want you to understand before we go any further, because this is genuinely important. The people who survive heart attacks alone aren't necessarily younger or healthier or luckier. They're the people who knew exactly what to do and did it without hesitation. And that's precisely what I'm going to give you today. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm walking you through 7 specific steps, in the exact order you should take them, that could save your life if you ever experience a heart attack when no one else is around. We're going to cover what to do in the first critical seconds, why some advice you've seen online could actually make things worse, and how to set up your home right now so you're never truly unprepared. I've also included modifications for every single step if you have limited mobility, because this information needs to work for everyone. Let me share something that genuinely surprised me when I started researching this video. According to the American Heart Association, adults over 65 account for about 80% of all heart attack deaths. But that's not the statistic that stopped me in my tracks. What really got my attention was this. The average person waits 2 to 4 hours after their first symptom before calling for help. 2 to 4 hours. When we know that every minute without treatment reduces your chances of full recovery, so why do people wait? Well, the research points to 3 main reasons, and I want to address each one directly because I suspect at least one of them might resonate with you. First, many people don't recognize what's happening because heart attacks, especially in adults over 60, don't always look like what we see in movies. Second, people worry about being embarrassed if it turns out to be nothing serious, just indigestion or muscle strain. And third, and this is the one I hear most often from viewers, people are genuinely afraid that doing something wrong might make it worse. Here's what I want you to hold on to as we go through these 7 steps. Knowing what to do in advance completely eliminates that dangerous hesitation. You won't waste precious minutes wondering if you should call for help. You won't second-guess yourself. You'll have a plan and you'll execute it. That's exactly why I created this guide. And that's exactly why I need you to watch it all the way through and maybe even share it with someone you love who lives alone. However, before we can talk about what to do during a heart attack, we need to address something even more fundamental. Because the number one reason people don't survive heart attacks alone isn't that they did the wrong thing. It's that they didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. And the symptoms after 60, they're often nothing like what you'd expect. Step 1 is recognizing what's actually happening. And I need to spend some real time here because this is where most people get it wrong. When I ask viewers to describe a heart attack, almost everyone mentions the same thing. Crushing chest pain, clutching your chest, falling to the floor. And yes, that dramatic presentation does happen. But here's what the research from the National Institutes of Health tells us. After age 60, especially for women, the symptoms are often much more subtle, and that subtlety can be deadly. Let me walk you through what doctors call the atypical presentation of a heart attack, which is actually extremely typical for our age group. Many people describe what feels like severe indigestion or heartburn that doesn't improve with antacids. Others experience unusual fatigue that comes on suddenly, the kind of tiredness that feels different from just needing rest. Some people feel what they describe as impending doom, an unexplainable sense that something is very wrong even though they can't pinpoint exactly what. Now, here's where it gets particularly important for women watching this video. Research published in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that women over 65 are significantly more likely than men to experience heart attacks without any chest pain at all. Instead, they might feel nausea, shortness of breath, pain between the shoulder blades, or discomfort in the jaw or neck. These symptoms are often dismissed as stress, anxiety, or simply getting older. And that dismissal can be fatal. So here's what I want you to practice, even right now as you're watching this. I call it the 60-second body scan, and it's something you can do anytime you feel off in a way you can't explain. Start by noticing your chest. Is there any pressure, tightness, or squeezing, even if it's mild? Move to your left arm and shoulder. Any heaviness or tingling? Check your jaw, neck, and upper back. Any unusual aching? Finally, assess your breathing. Does it feel harder than it should for what you're doing? Notice any cold sweats, nausea, or dizziness. If you experience any combination of these symptoms that lasts more than a few minutes or keeps coming back, I want you to assume it could be your heart until proven otherwise. It is always better to get checked and find out it was indigestion than to wait and find out it wasn't. But recognition is just the first step. What you do in the next 60 seconds matters enormously. And this is where I need to address something that might save your life. There's a piece of advice floating around the internet about what to do during a heart attack, and following it could actually make things worse. Step 2 is calling 911 immediately, and I want to be very direct about this because I've heard from too many viewers who made a different choice. When you recognize the warning signs we just discussed, your first call should not be to your daughter, not to your neighbor, not to your doctor's office. Your first call should be to 911, and I'm going to explain exactly why this matters so much. Here's what typically happens when someone calls a family member during a heart attack. The family member, understandably frightened, asks questions. What are you feeling? Are you sure it's serious? Should I come over? Let me call your doctor first. These conversations, even short ones, eat up precious minutes. And then the family member might live 20 or 30 minutes away, which means even more time passes before emergency treatment begins. I've read accounts from cardiologists who've seen patients wait over an hour because they called family members who then tried to drive them to the hospital. When you call 911, here's exactly what I want you to say. I'm having symptoms of a heart attack. I am alone. My address is... And then give your full address, including any apartment numbers or special access instructions. This call does several critical things simultaneously. First, it dispatches an ambulance with cardiac equipment and trained paramedics who can begin treatment before you reach the hospital. Second, it alerts the hospital emergency room that a heart patient is incoming, so they can prepare the cardiac team. Third, and this is crucial, the 911 operator can coach you through the remaining steps while help is on the way. For those of you with limited mobility or who might have trouble getting to the door, here's something important. Tell the 911 operator exactly where you'll be in your home and whether your door is unlocked. If you can't make it to unlock the door, they will find a way in. But knowing where to find you saves critical seconds. Now, while you're on the phone with 911, you might remember something you saw online about cough CPR. The idea that vigorous coughing can keep blood flowing during a heart attack. I need to address this directly because it's widely shared and it's potentially dangerous. The American Heart Association has clearly stated that cough CPR is not recommended for the general public and should only be used in very specific hospital settings under medical supervision. Attempting it on your own can waste precious energy and time. So please, do not try to cough your way through a heart attack because you saw it in a forwarded email. Trust the steps we're covering here instead. Now we arrive at step 3, and this is one that many of you have probably heard before, but there are crucial details that most sources leave out. If you're having symptoms of a heart attack and you're not allergic to aspirin and you don't have a bleeding disorder, chewing a regular, full-strength aspirin that's 325 milligrams can genuinely improve your outcomes. Let me explain what's actually happening inside your body during most heart attacks so this makes sense. The most common type of heart attack occurs when a blood clot forms in an artery that supplies blood to your heart muscle. That clot blocks the flow of oxygen-rich blood, and heart muscle starts to die. Aspirin works by making your blood platelets less sticky, which can help prevent the clot from getting larger while you wait for emergency treatment. Studies published in medical journals like The Lancet suggest that taking aspirin during a heart attack can reduce death rates by up to 23%. Here's the specific technique. Chew the aspirin rather than swallowing it whole with water. Chewing breaks it down faster and gets it into your bloodstream more quickly, sometimes cutting the absorption time in half. If you only have low-dose aspirin, which is 81 milligrams, chew 4 of them to approximate a full dose. And here's a practical tip. Keep aspirin somewhere you can access easily, like your nightstand or your kitchen counter, not locked away in a medicine cabinet in another room. However, and this is extremely important, aspirin is not right for everyone. If you're taking blood thinners like warfarin or Eliquis, if you've had stomach ulcers or bleeding problems, if you're allergic to aspirin, or if you've been told by your doctor specifically not to take aspirin, then skip this step entirely. The 911 operator can help guide you if you're unsure. When in doubt, prioritize the other steps and let the paramedics make the aspirin decision when they arrive. At this point, you've done the 2 most critical things. Called for help and potentially slowed the progression of the clot. But you might be 5, 10, even 15 minutes away from the ambulance arriving. What you do in that waiting period matters more than most people realize. Step 4 is positioning yourself safely, and this is particularly important for those of you watching who have limited mobility or use mobility aids. The position you're in when paramedics arrive can affect both your immediate safety and how quickly they can help you. Here's what many people instinctively do during a heart attack. They try to walk around, thinking movement might help, or they lie flat on their back, or they try to make their way to the front door. Each of these well-intentioned choices carries risks. Walking increases the heart's oxygen demand at exactly the moment it has reduced blood supply. Lying completely flat can make breathing more difficult if fluid is building up in the lungs, which happens in some heart attacks. And trying to reach the door means you might collapse somewhere difficult for paramedics to reach you. Instead, here's what cardiac experts recommend. Sit in a comfortable position with your back supported and your knees slightly bent. If you're on a chair, that's ideal. If you're on the floor, try to get your back against a wall or piece of furniture. This position reduces the workload on your heart while keeping your airway open. If you feel like you might faint, it's actually safer to lower yourself to the floor deliberately than to fall unexpectedly. For those of you with limited mobility, here's the key principle. Get as comfortable and stable as possible wherever you are. If you're in bed, semi-reclined with pillows supporting you is fine. If you use a wheelchair, stay in it but make sure the brakes are locked. Don't try to transfer or reposition if doing so feels like a struggle. The goal is to reduce physical exertion while staying accessible for emergency responders. If possible, and it doesn't require significant effort, try to position yourself near the door you told the 911 operator you'd be near, or in a central, open area of your home. If you have a phone with you, keep it in your hand. And here's something that might feel strange but could matter. If you're wearing layers of clothing over your chest, consider loosening or removing your top layer. Paramedics will need to access your chest quickly for assessment and, if necessary, defibrillation. Those extra seconds matter. Now, once you're positioned safely, there's another challenge that no one really prepares you for. The psychological experience of waiting for help while your body is signaling that something is wrong. This is where fear can become its own problem because panic increases heart rate and blood pressure, which is exactly what you don't want right now. Step 5 might sound simple, but it's one of the most important things you can do. Stay as calm as possible. And I know, that sounds almost absurd when I'm talking about surviving a heart attack alone. How can anyone be calm in that situation? But here's what I learned from my own father's cardiologist that changed how I think about this. She told me that the human body has 2 main stress responses. One that makes your heart race, your blood pressure spike, and your muscles tense for action, and another that slows things down and promotes healing. During a heart attack, your job is to coax your body toward that second response as much as possible. Every moment of calm is a moment of reduced strain on your heart. When you panic, your body releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones increase your heart rate and constrict blood vessels, which means your already struggling heart has to work even harder. Research from the European Heart Journal has shown that extreme emotional distress can actually worsen cardiac outcomes. So learning to manage fear isn't just about comfort. It's about physical survival. Here's a breathing technique that cardiac rehabilitation specialists teach, and I want you to practice it right now so you remember it if you ever need it. Breathe in slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold that breath gently for 4 seconds. Breathe out slowly through your mouth for 6 seconds, making the exhale longer than the inhale. Then wait 2 seconds before the next breath. This pattern activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and heal part of your nervous system that slows heart rate and reduces blood pressure. Let's do it together right now. Breathe in 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. And again. Even practicing this once while you're calm helps your brain remember it under stress. There's another technique that psychologists call cognitive reframing that can help with the fear. Instead of thinking, I'm having a heart attack and I might die, try replacing that thought with, I recognize the symptoms. I called for help. I took aspirin. I'm in position and help is on the way. I am doing everything right. That internal narrative isn't denial. It's accurate and it's calming. You are doing everything right. The situation is serious, but you are handling it. But here's something we need to address honestly. What if, while you're waiting, things seem to get worse? What if you feel like you might lose consciousness, or the pain intensifies, or you start having trouble breathing? This is where the next step becomes critical. Step 6 addresses what might be the scariest part of this whole situation: the possibility that you could lose consciousness while waiting for help. I want to be honest with you about this because I think honest information is more reassuring than false comfort. Some people do lose consciousness during heart attacks, particularly if the heart develops an abnormal rhythm. But even here, there are things you can do to improve your odds. The fear of passing out alone is often worse than other aspects of a heart attack because it feels like losing control entirely. But here's what I want you to understand. If you've already called 911, already given them your address, already told them you're alone and having heart attack symptoms, then help is coming regardless of whether you stay conscious. The most important steps are already done. That said, here's how to prepare for the possibility of losing consciousness. If you feel lightheaded or dizzy, immediately lower yourself to the floor if you're not already there. Lie on your side rather than your back. This position, called the recovery position, helps keep your airway clear and prevents choking if you vomit, which can happen during cardiac events. Bend your top leg at the knee with your knee touching the floor to stabilize yourself. For those with limited mobility who can't get to the floor safely, lower your head and upper body as much as your seating allows. If you're in a chair, leaning forward with your head between your knees, if you can manage it, can help maintain blood flow to your brain and may prevent fainting. Here's something else you can do while you're still alert. If you feel like you might pass out, stay on the phone with 911 as long as possible, even if you're not actively speaking. If the line is open and you stop responding, they'll know to escalate urgency. If you have a medical alert necklace or bracelet, make sure it's visible. If you've taken aspirin, try to leave the bottle nearby so paramedics can see what you took. Now, everything we've discussed so far is about what to do in the moment. But the truth is, surviving a heart attack alone actually starts long before a heart attack happens. The preparation you do today, when you're calm and healthy, can make all the difference during an emergency tomorrow. That's what Step 7 is all about. Step 7 is perhaps the most empowering step of all because it's the one you can take today, right after you finish watching this video. It's about preparing your home and your network of people so that if a cardiac emergency ever happens, you're never truly alone. Let me paint a picture that might sound familiar. Your aspirin is in a medicine cabinet in the upstairs bathroom. Your phone charger is plugged in by the bed. Your front door has a deadbolt that requires a key from both sides. Your emergency contacts are saved in your phone, but your phone has a passcode. You know your neighbor to wave at, but you've never exchanged phone numbers. None of these things seem significant on an ordinary day. But during a heart attack when you're alone, each one could become a critical obstacle. Here's what I want you to do this week. First, create what I call emergency stations in 2 or 3 locations in your home. Each station should have aspirin, a list of your medications and dosages, your emergency contacts, and if possible, a phone or phone charger. Your bedroom and living room are usually the most important locations since that's where people spend the most time. Second, reconsider your door locks. If you have a deadbolt that requires a key from inside, consider replacing it with a thumb turn lock that can be unlocked without a key. This allows you to unlock the door quickly if you're having an emergency, and it also allows emergency responders to get in more easily. If changing locks isn't possible, consider getting a lockbox with a code that you give to 911 dispatch and a couple of trusted neighbors. Third, and this one takes some courage, have a direct conversation with at least 2 neighbors, family members, or nearby friends. Give them keys or door codes. Tell them that if you don't answer the phone within a certain time frame during your regular check-in, they should call 911 and come check on you. This isn't being dramatic. This is being smart. I also want to mention medical alert devices. These have come a long way from the "I've fallen and I can't get up" image that some of you might remember. Modern medical alert systems can detect falls automatically, connect you to 911 with one button press, provide your location to emergency services, and some even monitor vital signs. If you live alone and you're in the age group where cardiac events become more common, this is genuinely worth considering. It's not about being fragile. It's about being prepared. But here's the thing about all of this preparation, all 7 of these steps. They only work if you actually implement them. Information without action is just entertainment, and your life is too valuable for that. Let me leave you with something that I hope you'll carry with you long after this video ends. You are not powerless in a cardiac emergency. The statistics about heart attacks in seniors can seem frightening, and yes, this is serious stuff. But the research is absolutely clear. Knowledge and preparation save lives. People who know what to do and who've prepared their homes and their networks survive heart attacks alone at dramatically higher rates than those who haven't. Today, we covered the 7 steps. Recognize the warning signs that are often different after 60, call 911 immediately instead of family first, take aspirin if it's appropriate for you, position yourself safely, stay calm using breathing techniques and cognitive reframing, know what to do if you feel faint, and prepare your home and your people starting today. Now here's what I'm asking you to do. First, if this video was helpful, please share it with someone you love who lives alone or who might be at risk. This information can literally save lives, but only if it reaches the people who need it. Second, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. We release new content every week focused on helping adults over 60 live longer, healthier, more independent lives. And third, the most important action of all, do something with what you learned today. Put an emergency station together this evening. Have that conversation with your neighbor this weekend. Look into medical alert options before you go to bed tonight. Small actions today create safety tomorrow. You've spent the last 20 minutes investing in your own survival. That's not morbid. That's not pessimistic. That's the smartest, most empowering thing you can do for yourself and for the people who love you. You deserve many more healthy years ahead, and being prepared is how you protect those years. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trusting me with this important topic. And please, take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next video.